Coming up on KUJH News, the Jayhawks are Final Four bound, and students weren't the only ones storming Mass Street last night. See why the Lawrence Police Department was celebrating on Twitter. And if you're looking to follow KU to San Antonio, it could cost you a pretty penny. Just how much you'll have to shell out to join the Jayhawks at the Final Four.
Plus, the city of Lawrence has solved a zebra problem. No, not that kind of zebra, but the absence of an invasive species is good news for the city's plumbing. I'm Lauren Davidson.
And I'm Alex McClune.
KUJH News starts now.
From the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
The Jayhawks are dancing their way to the Final Four in San Antonio this weekend. They'll be taking on the Villanova Wildcats on Saturday.
And Lawrence was going crazy after taking down the Duke Blue Devils. And if you weren't there, just take a look at the scene from downtown.
Go inside the paint quickly, right back outside the Newman. He is on target tonight.
You may have been watching the game and began the search for tickets to witness.
We're going to the
As the buzzer finally sounded and overtime came to an end,
Final Four! Final Four!
students took off sprinting from all over to embrace KU's Final Four berth on Massachusetts Street. You could hear the cheers all over Lawrence. Students climbed atop each other's shoulders. Crowds kept growing and growing. Everyone was there to celebrate their beloved Jayhawks. Police shut down Mass Street for an hour, allowing students to celebrate in the streets. And then came the after party, welcoming home the champions of the Midwest region back to Allen Fieldhouse.
The whole team, the coaches, man, we want to thank all you guys. Without you guys, we couldn't have did it.
Next up for KU is Villanova. Game time is 7:49 Saturday in San Antonio. And the winner, Rock Chalk, heads on to the national championship game.
So as the party continued on Mass Street, the Lawrence Police Department was, of course, tweeting out to fans to remind them about safety. They encouraged fans to give cops high fives and say no to burning couches. Luckily, KU fans didn't give them too much trouble. At the end of the night, police say all couches were safe. They didn't issue any citations, and they're ready for people to party safely again for Saturday's game.
You diehard Jayhawk fans may be looking to make the trip to the Final Four, but it can get a little pricey. KUJH reporter Kieran Henderson tells us how much a trip to the Alamo Dome could cost you.
Go inside the paint quickly, right back outside the Newman. He is on target tonight.
You may have been watching the game and began the search for tickets to witness the KU men's basketball team battle with the Villanova Wildcats to earn a spot in the national championship.
The lottery system at the ticket office in Allen Fieldhouse is complete, so the only way to get a ticket to the Final Four in San Antonio is to purchase it online.
I went to Vivid Seats to find a ticket to the game this weekend. Final Four seats could cost you a pretty penny. For a weekend at the Alamo Dome and a chance to witness the Jayhawks make history, the all-session pass costs a minimum of $350 for an upper-level ticket. For a lower-level ticket, expect to shell out more than $600. The flight alone to San Antonio will cost you more than $1,500. At a rental car, a hotel, and a parking pass, and a voyage to the Final Four will cost you almost $4,000. Quite a bill to go cheer on the Jayhawks. But that money barrier isn't stopping them. Given how hot sales are right now, it looks like many fans think that price of admission is well worth it. And the Jayhawks will be playing in a packed arena this weekend. In Lawrence, Kieran Henderson, KUJH News.
Quite the price tag, and more than just a ticket to the game. Now you can save about $300 flying into Austin and instead making the drive to San Antonio. So, Gabby, that's what fans have to look forward to this weekend in San Antonio, but for now you have a quick look at weather, and I gotta say, I wasn't expecting rain coming out of spring break.
Exactly the kind of weather we think of when we talk about spring weather. Right now we're looking at rain outside. I'm sure some of you guys even woke up to some rumbles of thunder early this morning before you even woke up. Students around campus are wearing their raincoats and breaking out those umbrellas as we bring out to storm season soon. Right now you can see this was from this morning. The system has moved out of the area over to Missouri, probably out into Illinois even as well. As we look right now, though, 49 degrees with that cloud cover, though, will seem a lot cooler, so make sure you are prepared for that as you head on out for your evening plans. Looking on later on, we have some more rain to talk about later on through this week. A slight warm up on Wednesday, maybe even some 60 degrees to talk about, and some snow on Friday. More on that coming up.
There's something big missing at Clinton Lake, and that's good news for the water we drink every day. As KUJH reporter Grant Stevens tells us, people at the lake and people in the city are breathing a sigh of relief.
If we look underwater at Clinton Lake, all we can see is clean docks and clean rocks. What's missing here are thousands of tiny zebra mussels, an extremely invasive species known for taking over lakes, clinging to solid surfaces, and choking out the native ecosystem. Their shells can be a pain for the public as well.
I've cut my hands on them here. People cut their feet on them. You can walk by something and brush your leg against it, and you're just like a barnacle. They'll cut you just like a barnacle does. That shell all stays intact, so it just stays like shards of broken glass glued in place.
Jerry has been dealing with the mussels ever since they first came to Kansas, but he says this is the first time he's seen the population shrinking. The mussels are so effective at feeding and spreading, they eliminate all of their food sources in a few years. Then they die off for a year or two, giving the lake a much-needed break.
Their own overpopulation is their biggest downfall. Since we've discovered them 5 years ago, this is the least that I've seen on the rocks and the floats and the iron structure.
That's exactly why you're not seeing them clinging to the bottom of boats or the underside of docks. You're seeing them here, washed up dead along the Clinton Lake shoreline. The city of Lawrence is happy about the recent die-off as well.
Obviously, anytime you have an invasive species, when that species is declining, that's a good thing because it's not competing with other native species, and in this case, it's not blocking our water systems and costing the city money to keep the water flowing.
While the mussels are expected to return in the next few years, this much-needed relief keeps pipes clear, floats clean, and the marina happy. Reporting in Lawrence, Grant Stevens, KUJH News.
Jerry says this break from zebra mussels will help the lake's ecosystem undo the damage from the last few years.
Well, still to come on KUJH News, there's a storm brewing at the White House, and it's the West Wing that's actually not reacting to the Stormy Daniels interview on 60 Minutes. And millions of students took to the street to call for stricter gun laws. Will it make a difference?
Plus, April showers have come a week early. Gabby will be in the studio with your weekly outlook. Stick around.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I got no pulse for losing.
Charging. He's in beefing.
Shocking. Tries it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We're just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. You'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When you shop local in the heart of the city, you support the people that make our community thrive. The money you spend here stays here, in this place we call our home. Lawrence, Kansas, where there's good old-fashioned hometown pride. Eat local, drink local, shop local.
Porn star Stormy Daniels says people threatened her when she tried to publicize her alleged affair with Donald Trump. She talks about this in a CBS 60-minute interview, the first extended interview she's done since she went public. Daniels says she tried to sell her story to magazines before, but she got a serious threat and decided to stay quiet.
And a guy walked up on me and said to me, leave Trump alone, forget the story. And then he leaned around and looked at my daughter and said, a beautiful little girl, it'd be a shame if something happened to her mom. And then he was gone.
Here, the White House denies the affair happened. Daniels didn't talk about if she had support for her story. She says the threat came weeks after she agreed to sell the story to magazines in 2011. Two former employees of that publication said they backed out of the $15,000 deal after Trump's lawyer threatened with a lawsuit.
You took it as a direct threat.
Absolutely. I was rattled. I remember going into the workout class and my hands were shaking so much I was afraid I was going to drop her.
Did you ever see that person again?
No. But if I did, I would know it right away. I'll never forget it.
You'd be able to recognize that person?
100%. Even now, all these years later. If he walked in the store right now, I would instantly know.
Did you go to the police?
No.
Why?
Because I was scared.
Here's your look at news from across the nation. Millions gathered in cities across the country to voice their anger over gun violence in the United States. Washington, D.C. saw 800,000 for the March for Our Lives movement. Protesters came together in cities like Boston, Minneapolis, Kansas City, and places like Parkland, Florida, among others. Survivors of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting led the charge, advocating for safe schools. President Trump ordered to expel 60 Russian diplomats from the U.S. after the attempted murder of a former Russian spy and his daughter. The nerve agent attack happened in Salisbury, England. The expelled diplomats have 7 days to pack up and leave the U.S. with their families. Trump also closed the Russian consulate in Seattle based on its proximity to a U.S. submarine. And finally, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is using full-page newspaper ads in the U.S. and the U.K. to apologize for what he calls a breach of trust with user information. The apology comes after the revelation that Cambridge Analytica accessed data on 50 million users. The political consulting firm, which worked for President Trump's presidential campaign, is accused of manipulating the data during the 2016 U.S. election. Zuckerberg says Facebook is taking steps to make sure this doesn't happen again. And that is a look from across the nation. Gabby is here with our weekly weather coming up. And Gabby, how's our final week of March looking?
Well, it's definitely looking like spring, Alex, and with those thunderstorms moving through this morning, definitely average for this time of year. 52 yesterday, not far off from the normal of 58 though. As we go on, the days are getting longer, and you know what that means is just summer is right around the corner is what I like to think. So 12 hours is what we're looking at right now, and soon to be longer as we get closer to the end of the semester. That's a look outside right now. 59 is our high, although it really doesn't feel like that with the cloud cover. A lot cooler, especially with those slight breezy winds and that drizzle that just doesn't seem to move out. Again, with that drizzle right now, it's about still drizzling outside, doesn't seem to go away until later on in the evening though, as we get into around midnight tonight. Some storms moving through the area once again. This was about 3 o'clock. Not much, a few things here and there popping up around the Lawrence area, but nothing to be concerned about in terms of severe weather. Tonight is a low of 39. Again, the rain will slow down. Might have some showers tomorrow morning as well when you wake up, but shouldn't be anything too concerning to be concerned about. Looking on to the 5-day forecast again, slight chance of rain tomorrow morning, 62 on Wednesday. There is some hope for some sunshine in the middle of this cloudy weather. 57 on Thursday, and then a chance of snow on Friday. Again, that will determine based on the temperature of 32 or 33 degrees. We'll have more on that on Wednesday as we get closer to that.
Man, the only thing getting me through this rainy Monday is that big Jayhawk win over the weekend.
That's right, it was a pretty exciting game. Coming up after the break, the Blue Devils are out. We have post-game thoughts from the Jayhawks after last night's thrilling victory, plus softball and baseball in Texas. See which team claimed a victory in Texas for the first time in 4 years. Stick around. Yeah, okay. So I have this fun.
shop local in the heart of the city, you support the people that make our community thrive. The money you spend here stays here, in this place we call our home. Lawrence, Kansas, where there's good old-fashioned hometown pride. Eat local, drink local, shop local.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. Nope.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I got no pulse.
Anticipating a battle of the two top seeds in the Midwest region, Kansas versus Duke, the battle of the Blue Bloods. Let's go to the highlights from the CenturyLink Center. The play that saved it all and kept the Jayhawks in the game. Devontae passed out to Svi, who shot a three and brought the score to a tie with 25 seconds left in the game. Grayson Allen drove into the lane with an attempt to win the game, but the shot rolled off the rim, and the intense game continued into overtime. Malik Newman came up with crucial plays in the overtime and scored 13 points. In the last stretch of the game, Duke's Trevon Duval went up for the three and missed, and you could feel the emotion and excitement through the TV screen as the Jayhawks won and made it to the Final Four for the first time since 2012. As loud as the fog was last night, the critics were just as loud regarding this team throughout the season. Tyler Jones has more from the players' reaction after the win.
Everybody gave up on us, and they said we was gonna break the Big 12 streak. They said all kind of stuff. They said we wasn't gonna win the Big 12. They said we wasn't, gonna make it in the NCAA tournament and all that stuff. Like everybody doubted us. We always the underdog. Even to this game, we was number 1 seed, but still, like we was the underdog.
The Kansas Jayhawks have, KU may be in the Final Four, but they're not done just yet. They'll take on Villanova this Saturday at 7:49 p.m. The baseball team won its first Big 12 series against Baylor. KU won the Friday opener and followed with an 8-5 win on Sunday. Sophomore catcher Jax Groshans started all 3 games against Baylor. He batted 7 for 12 with a double, 2 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. Groshan reached base in 8 of his 13 appearances. Sophomore Ryan Sear pitched 3 2/3 innings. He lowered his ERA to 1.05. The Jayhawks will be at home tomorrow to play Missouri State. The Texas Longhorns swept the Kansas softball team 3-0 in the opening Big 12 series. On Sunday, the Jayhawks lost 3-0 in the series finale. Pitcher Andy Formby pitched 6 innings with 6 strikeouts and 3 runs allowed. Kansas will be back at home at Arocha Ballpark with a game on Wednesday against SIUE and a 3-game series against Colorado State on Friday and Saturday.
All right, thanks, Kaylee. One more sports story before we go. So, KU's victory yesterday means the end of Grayson Allen's college career. You know, the guy on Duke everybody loves to hate. But his internet fame is still living on, and it's because of his doppelganger. Take a look. Here's Allen on the left, and then on the right is Allen in about 30 years or so. Actually, that's Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Cruz tweeted he sees the resemblance between the two, and obviously the Republican isn't much of an athlete. If you remember, he once infamously called a basketball hoop a basketball ring. Obviously, the face is where the similarity ends. I don't think Senator Ted Cruz could dunk a basketball, but a quick check of the Senate record shows Ted Cruz has never tripped anyone while reaching across the aisle. So, and a quick YouTube research on my own shows that Ted Cruz doesn't have a 2-minute tripping compilation on YouTube like Grayson Allen does.
Well, I definitely see the resemblance there.
Yeah, Grayson Allen is known for the tripping, kicking, not quite things you want to be known for.
Yeah, it's not, but I'll say this. Phenomenal athlete, but thankfully wasn't a phenomenal athlete against Kansas too much yesterday. But for now, that's all for us here on KUJH News.
For more on these stories or to share them with your friends, go to our website at tv.ku.edu.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you right back here on Wednesday.
Grayson Allen just tripping people. Trip you guys before you.